Welcome everyone, I'm Arpan representing Vedabi Global Services, a specialist in providing support and services in BI and EPM space. We provide pre-sales support, health checkup and optimization, installation configuration, upgrade migration, support and maintenance, and end-to-end implementation. Here is the agenda for the webinar today. We will see how to configure SBase using SBase configuration file. We will cover topics such as configuration, what is configuration in SBase, then some of the configuration that we can achieve in SBase for backup and recovery, failover clustering, memory management, ports and connection settings, then some of the security file configuration settings, and some of the settings which are specific to ASO and BSO applications. Let us first see what is configuration in SBase and how is it achieved. So basically the configuration in SBase is done in the sbase.cfg file that we have in our SBase configuration folder. So whatever settings we include in that file are applied to the SBase server that we run. During configuration of SBase using EPM system configurator, the configurator adds some of the entries by default in that file. So those settings are applied by default when we start the SBase server, but later on we can go on modifying this SBase configuration file whenever we need it and according to the requirement of our organization. Then these settings will override the default settings whenever we go on or keep adding the settings in this file. It will keep on overriding the other default settings that our SBase has. We can do this even from ES console. If we change some of the settings using ES console, then you can see that these changes will be reflected here in the configuration file. Then this file can reside both on SBase server or even on client machine. For some of the client related settings which are network related, we can have this CFG file in our client machines too, which will override the default settings for network settings. Then we usually edit this configuration file from location arbor path bin directory of our SBase configuration machine. Then on client machine we will have some location which is under SBase path for this file, and we can modify this file from client machines too. Then to apply those settings after modifications, we will have to start and stop the components that for which we changed those settings so that the changes gets reflected. Then some of the considerations that we should have while or after configuration of SBase is we should not have any duplicate settings in the SBase configuration file. Then we can override these settings even using tools such as Maxil or ES console, as I even mentioned earlier. Then no syntax check is performed once you add some settings in this .cfg file. So whenever you go on adding values or you go on specifying the settings in this file, then syntax won't be checked and those settings will keep on applying if you have applied the correct setting. Then when we use this configuration file on client, then it is basically used to override the default network settings, as I even mentioned earlier. Some of the settings such as network delay or retry counts, those will be changed using configuration file on client machine. This is how a default configuration file looks. This is from SBase server, and this may look different on your machine if you have configured SBase. This depends on which database you have configured your SBase with and some of the settings that you provided in EPM system configurator. Let us see some of the backup and recovery settings that we can have in this configuration file. we can apply transaction log location. So using this setting, we can enable or disable the transaction logging, which is done for any specified application or even the database of any specific application. So we will be required to provide a log location for that if you want to enable transaction logging, and if you want to disable it, then you can also provide a disable option here while providing this or while specifying this setting in the sbase.cfg file. Then the other setting that you can have while backup and recovering is like transaction log data load archive. So this setting specifies the type of data to archive when logging transactions. You can have some different options while archiving the type of data. This can be from data loads from client, then this can be data loads done using server, or data loads using both server and client, or data loads using none of these options. So you can enable this setting, transaction log data load archive, and after enabling this setting you can see that the data load transaction logs will be archived for the option that you provide with this setting. Then some of the failover and clustering settings you can also have in this file for your sake of convenience, you can say. First of all, you will have to enable the failover mode if you are using failover functionality of SBase. For that you will need to specify settings as shown here. You can either set this option to true or even false. If you want to enable failover mode, then you will have to enable this option as and specify the setting as true. Then if you have enabled failover mode, then you can also specify one more setting, which is APS resolver, which will resolve the provider service provider server name so that client can connect to your provider servers. And if you have enabled clustering in your environment, you can specify this setting as shown here. Then there's another setting which is for tracing the logs, and it is SBase failover trace level setting. So you can specify a couple of options to this settings too, which is you can either provide option as an user or as an admin followed by the setting name. So if you provide this option as user, then the logs will contain the information about the failover, only the failover traces that a user can see. And if you provide option as admin, then even the leases which are being owned by different processes will be logged in this in the log messages. Then there's another setting which is agent lease expiration time. So this is a maximum so the value that you provide for this setting will be the maximum amount of time an SBase server or agent can have a lease over any resource. So this setting is for serves this purpose. Then you can have agent lease max retry count setting, which is to specify maximum number of times your SBase agent will try to acquire a lease over any resource. Then you can also specify some memory management settings in this configuration file. Now this settings, all these settings can just be followed by the value that you want to provide for your settings. So the syntax remains same for all these settings. The data cache size is a setting which is to provide the initial value that your newly created databases will have for data caches. So data caches are nothing but a buffer in your memory for data caches. So you can provide a value, an initial value for this setting. Then there's another setting which is for data file cache size, which will for which you can provide an initial value which will which will be assigned to all the newly created databases. So data file caches are also a buffer in memory which hold the data files in it. Then you can also specify this index cache size setting, which is to index caches are basically used to hold index pages in the memory. So if you provide a value for this setting, then that value will be used as an initial value for index caches. Then you can have a setting such as ss proc row limit. So this setting is basically used for requests coming from client tools or SmartView, you can say. So the request coming from SmartView and client or Essbase clients will be processed by Essbase, and this setting will actually specify a value for which will tell the Essbase server to process how many to process these many rows while executing the request from client tools. Some of the ports and connection settings that we can specify in this file are like net delay setting, net retry count setting, server port begin setting, server port end, and server thread setting. So net delay setting is basically specifies the network request delay time. Then we have the net retry count setting, which specifies the number of attempts Essbase is allowed to make a network connection before failing and reporting an error. So your Essbase server will be tried to connect with for this number of time. Whatever value that you provide for net retry count will then be used as a number of attempts to connect with Essbase server. Then you can specify settings such as server port begin. So this setting specifies the first port number that Essbase tries to use for any application process which has been started. So whenever you start any application, that application is assigned a port number. So this setting will specify the first port number that will be assigned for the first application process which will be started. Parallelly, you can have a server port end setting which will specify the highest possible value that you can have for the application processes that you start. Then there's another setting which is server threads. So this setting is to specify the number of threads you can assign to any application process which has been spawned by the Essbase server. So this value after this setting does have some initial value, but this will be overridden once you change this setting in the configuration file. Then the security file configuration settings are the most popular settings or most important settings that that you need to provide in your configuration file, because the Essbase security depends upon this security file, and if you specify these settings in your configuration file, then you can actually have a good efficient security system of your Essbase server. Then amongst all settings here, you can the important settings that I have mentioned here are like enable switch to backup file. So specifying this setting will enable a switch up to backup file which will be automated. So whenever an Essbase server will start or whenever the service will be started, the valid backup file will be searched on your Essbase system, and that will be used as a security file if your current or existing security file is corrupted. Then this setting will enable a auto switch to the backup file that you will be having on your Essbase server. Then you can specify the maximum number of security backup file that you can have on your Essbase system. So this setting is number of security file backups. So providing a value for this setting will will actually be the number or the maximum number that your SBS will have the security backup files. Then another setting that you can have is security file backup interval. So this the value provided for this setting will be basically the time interval or time period after which a security backup file will be created by your SBS server. So it is recommended that you should not have this value as more than 10. Then a security file compaction percent setting exists. Specifying this setting will let you compact your security file. So the compaction of security file is nothing but eliminating the white spaces in it, and the value that you provide for this setting is between 10 to 100 as it represents a percentage. Then some of the settings are specific to ASO applications, and while some of the settings are specific to BSO applications, so you cannot assign some of the settings to BSO or some of the settings to ASO. Out of which I have mentioned here a few. The ASO load buffer wait is actually a maximum amount of time for which SBS will wait for the buffer caches to be released by any existing resource. So if the buffer caches are not released, then for this amount of time, then your SBS server will abort the data load operations or loading of buffer operations. Then another setting is like ASO sample size percent. So this specifies number of cells which are sampled from input level data. The sample data is used to estimate size of aggregate views. So this setting applies to only ASO applications. Then another setting is like maximum request grid size. So this will specify the maximum grid size that you may have. On similar lines, you can have maximum response grid size setting too. Then some of the settings which are specific to BSO applications are disk volume settings. Using this setting, you can specify the disk volume that you want to assign for your BSO applications. Then a setting exists for direct IO. This sets the file access mode to direct input output instead of default input output. Then there's a setting for calc mode 2, which is for calculation purposes. So these are settings which only are applied to BSO applications. Thanks for participating in the webinar. We will look forward to see you again in the upcoming webinar for Vedabi Global Services. Please contact us for any query related to BI or EPM space. The email and mobile numbers are there on our contact us slide. Have a great time.